What's happening, everybody, and welcome to episode 69, nice, of the Good Kraken podcast. I am one of your hosts, Ernell Pearson, alongside the 5-star man with the 10-finger plan, Devin Stanford.
Today, I am the 6-star man with the 9-finger plan.
Oh,
nice.
Ew.
Nice, baby. Let's fucking go. Jenny said, Jesse said, ew. Jenny said, ew.
Said I don't know and I don't need to.
It's like she was waiting for something bad to come out of one of our mouths, and honestly, like,
I mean,
she's not wrong. And that voice that you guys are hearing is the wonderful queen of bitchin' herself, Genesee Gabrielle. How you doing, baby?
Hi, I'm better now that I'm here.
Oh, hey, it's lit. That's just what we do.
I can relate.
It's because you love us.
Yes, no, it's true. It's true. It's
that is
true.
the truest of the truths.
The truth, the truest of the truthy truths. The truthy truths. Genesee, how have you been since the last time we had you on? It's been a couple weeks. I want to catch up with you real quick.
It's been a couple weeks. It's a lot of shit has been going down. Honestly, I really truly do feel like I've been consumed by media the last few weeks.
Sure.
I do tend to like conceptualize my life through media. I was always the bitch. Actually, it's very fitting now that I do podcasting on this stuff because I was always the bitch in my like political science and public administration classes that was like, well, you see, we can learn from this example in The Bachelorette of what this says about ethics. You know what I mean?
I like that.
Everyone hated me.
Sure.
So I finally know where I belong. But yeah, Red Taylor's version came out last week. So that's been my entire life for the last like 8 days.
Covering all that
that's
Taylor,
how
that
I've
T-Swift content.
Yeah,
you gotta get that out
covering it and like emotionally recovering from it. I've listened to the 10-minute version of All Too Well like a good 40 times.
There's a 10-minute version? I didn't realize there was a 10-minute version. I knew that there was the like autumn version, like Sad Girl Autumn version, whatever the fuck it was
Sad Girl
called.
Autumn.
Yeah.
Yes. So there is the original version of All Too Well, as she wrote it, was 10 minutes long. And she cut it down to be the 5-minute version that was on the original album so that people would listen to it.
Sure.
But now Taylor Swift knows that we're going to listen to whatever the fuck she puts out. So she's like, I'll release the 10-minute version. And we've all wanted the 10-minute version really bad. So yeah, she released that. And then we got the 10-minute or the 15-minute All Too Well short film with Sadie Sink and Dylan O'Brien. It was incredible. I watched that like 10 times, which was like... That's like 3 hours of my life, guys. Like I literally, I'm not a human being at the moment.
Yeah, that makes more sense though now knowing that, because I saw someone post a meme the other day in like some like metal like rock music group that was like like people about Taylor Swift, like nobody listens to 10-minute songs, and then below it said cries in Meshuggah, because Meshuggah is a metal band that infamously does 10-minute songs. Devin knows what I'm talking about, right? Devin, don't listen to Meshuggah. Don't listen to Meshuggah.
Bleed?
Get that much sugar in there. It's fucking lit, dude. Now, Devin, how have you been since the last time we had Genesee on? Give Genesee your update.
Tell me.
Oh my gosh, I update you all the time.
Yeah, you do.
Honestly, my life is consumed by IRL work and podcast work.
And
honestly.
Halo and Battlefield. Let's go.
Yes. And Skyrim Legendary Anniversary Edition. And also Daisy RP.
You do a lot of that. You do a lot of that, and I fucking hate it. It drives me up a goddamn wall.
Why? Why?
Because you're late to things, because you're playing Daisy sometimes.
I'm never late before actual start, so
I'm only late for setup.
Oh yeah, because we got it down to a T. It takes 5 minutes to set up now. It's fine.
Devin.
I mean, depending, but like we also have technical difficulties every episode.
Early is on time and on time is late. Devin.
Oh, that's weird hustle culture, Genesee.
It is. I know. I don't typically do that, but
We
I
love
do have
you. We
issues
love
with
you.
not being on time. I
We
love
love
you
you.
guys
We
too.
love you. It's okay, but we're not talking about work ethic today because this is the Good Kraken podcast. Your choice for all the nerdy video game and pop media news, reviews, and discussions that you want to hear live every Tuesday at 7 p.m. and Saturday at 12 p.m. If you're riding this wave, you can head on over to patreon.com/Good Kraken Show, where you can submit questions and topics to the show, get exclusive post-show content, and have early access to episodes before they go live on podcasts and video services across the 7 seas. Yarr, there we go. Let it go, baby. However, if you've emptied your pockets for the latest and greatest in entertainment, that is totally fine. You can watch us record the show live right here at twitch.tv/Good Kraken Show. If you have Amazon Prime, you also have Twitch Prime. We would love for you to give that to us to keep us pushing content out for all of you listening and or watching at home. But you can also support us by going to our YouTube channel, clicking that beautiful bell and big red button, or by subscribing to our podcast channel by searching Good Kraken with an exclamation mark and leaving a review there.
Review.
Genesee. Hello.
Hi.
We have captain's orders, my friends. Please give our podcast a review over on Apple Podcasts. We're trying to push this out to people. The more reviews, not just ratings, reviews. Type in, say that 5-stinger, that 5-star man.
5-stinger,
the 5-stinger man.
Nah.
Yeah,
the 6-star man with the 9-finger plan.
Let's go, baby. And then you can just type nice in the reviews. Click
I hate it here.
Click send. We'll see that on our end. If you leave us a review, we may or may not actually read it on the on one of our episodes. But also too, that just helps break the algorithm, get our podcast to more listeners, more people that could find us that way. We would love you forever for that, and eventually we might do a little contest for anyone who leaves a review. A little winky wink, you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? But also, don't forget, we're doing a live reaction to the 2021 Game Awards. It's December 9th. We will be here on twitch.tv/Good Kraken Show doing that. We're going to be doing the entire show, some pre-show stuff. It's going to be a grand old time. We may or may not be a little inebriated during that, but you're not gonna drink for Game Awards? That's a damn lie. You know that's a damn.
I'm gonna be drinking some gin and tonics.
Classy boy.
That's what I drink.
Boy.
That's my go-to drink.
I like
Oh,
that.
yeah, it is.
Devin. Not only are you going to be just bathing in White Claw.
I'm gonna be drinking so much gin and White Claw that there's gonna be some little waves,
baby. Let's go.
So we got some news here. This is some important news, but we don't. Essentially, it's not big enough into the sense that we want to elaborate into a very in-depth discussion on this news. But moving forward here, Letitia Wright's injuries on Black Panther 2 set were more serious than Marvel initially thought. So she suffered a critical shoulder fracture and a concussion with severe side effects. So they announced that filming resumes in January, which kind of leads to more reasoning behind all the reshoots that we've been happening with the other Marvel movies lately.
Yes.
And the change in progression for some of the other movies and shows that we have going on, because they're leaving a lot out of this story, because I've read a few articles about this, but it's almost sounding like that we could get another postponement of this filming, and you know, R.I.P. Chadwick Boseman. You know, that this movie has just been riddled with chaos and misfortune throughout its production lately. So I'm hoping the best for Letitia Wright. I'm hoping that everybody involved in production is doing well, as doing good as well, because it could have been more people involved in whatever accident took place. So I hope things get better for everybody, and they move forward from there.
also with that story, there's an added thing of she is very anti getting vaccinations, so
Yeah.
she doesn't have the COVID vaccine, so it's uncertain whether she'll be able to get to Georgia when she does recover
Yeah.
to film.
Mhm.
Yeah. It's hard to say because
There's
like
a lot in
there's
this.
there's a lot of levels to it, right? So it's like
Yeah.
sure, like they're planning on filming and resuming in January. They might just like do solo shots, just really just isolate the fuck out of her if they want to do that way, or they can just say like no, like we can't do that, like instead
Yeah.
we're just gonna find someone new, and like they'll have to do it that way. And I'm sure Letitia Wright is in a position where she's gonna have to make a choice.
Yeah. Yeah. And like, I'm sorry, like I hate to sound blunt, but it's like she is a somewhat big part in the MCU so far, but she hasn't had like a whole lot of character development or screen time in the MCU.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, she had a decent amount in Black Panther, but not a whole lot. Like we don't have any backstory really of her. We don't have a lot of any of that so far in the story. So we could be looking at another James Rhodey situation.
Yeah.
You know,
We could.
you know,
They could completely just give us a new Shuri. You know, like it could
Yeah.
fucking happen. We'll see. You know. I
yeah.
don't know.
I mean, and like Marvel has the ultimate crutch right now of the multiverse.
Yeah.
You know, you know
There's
what I'm
things.
saying.
There's
And
things.
like it's as disappointing as that sometimes can be, because it's like a loophole for Marvel right now at this point.
Mhm.
But sometimes it's needed. But more Disney stuff. Disney Plus Ahsoka series casts Natasha Liu Bordizzo as Sabine Wren. Sabine Wren is a Mandalorian warrior first introduced in Star Wars Rebels as part of the Spectres. Ahsoka starts production in early 2022. Hype. That's awesome. Sabine
Um,
is a cool character. Sabine's
well,
a cool character.
and Natasha
Very edgelord.
Bordizzo is actually also a very good actor, just very good. She's an Australian Asian actor, and
Mhm.
she's been in movies like Guns Akimbo as a supporting character. She's in the Sort of Destiny, Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon movie,
Mhm.
the spinoff movie, and Greatest Showman, and killed it in each one of those.
Yeah.
Like yeah, she's
I
awesome.
mean,
I think she plays
her
this
and
part really well.
her and Rosario Dawson together.
Let's
I
go.
mean, that's some A-list shit right
Let's
there.
go. Let's go. I'm here for it.
More cool news. Delroy Lindo joins Marvel's Blade with Mahershala Ali. No word on who he's playing yet, but he's there.
It's gonna be fucking Whistler, dude. I've got a gut feeling that they're gonna give us Delroy Lindo as Whistler. Do you guys know who Delroy Lindo is off the top of your head?
No, I was actually gonna
look him up. You will recognize him. You will recognize him. This guy is going to be Whistler. Like, there's no way he's not.
Oh my god, this
guy,
Steve Harvey looking motherfucker.
This guy who's like always in like random move, but like he's one of those actors that like you never know like his name, but you know who he is, like because he's in a lot of fucking movies.
Is he in The Walking Dead?
No, not The Walking Dead. No. He's done things like he was in Harder They Fall. He's the sheriff in Harder They Fall.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what I recognize him from most recently.
Yeah, he's in a couple Jet Li movies as like a detective in a couple Jet Li movies. He was in
he was in Malcolm X and the Core. Okay.
Gone in 60 Seconds.
Oh,
yeah.
okay. I remember
He's
him.
a prominent fucking actor, dude, and he kills it. And
he hasn't done a whole lot over the last few years, but he did a ton of the classics. He was in Robot Chicken.
Oh my god.
This I can see them turning him into Whistler. I'm here for it. Honestly, I'm fucking here for it.
Yeah.
Anyways, though,
I do like the old school biker Whistler though. That was pretty great. You know,
it was.
But moving forward, Halo Infinite shows off its upcoming multiplayer events. So Fracture Tenrai drops next week, but the co-op campaign is delayed to May 2022, not the full campaign.
Yeah.
But yeah, so the co-op is delayed to 2022. Now, the reasonings I think behind this is since they upped the texturing and fidelity since when the game was originally shown off a year ago. This is a semi quasi open world game, is what we've seen from the campaign reveals.
Yeah.
I'm guessing it's just having all of those assets and everything load for both people and it communicating well at the same time, is what caused this delay and just making it work exceptionally well. I'm okay with this because this delay also showed us that they dropped a multiplayer beta that just works. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it just works. It looks amazing. The sound design is amazing. The physics, the gameplay, it feels great. It feels like a game that's been out for a year already. It feels like a game the way it should be when it comes out.
Delayed to make sure all the kinks are out. Yeah, no, 100%.
I love Battlefield, but goddamn, is it frustrating with all the bugs and stuff that we've been encountering.
I mean, to be fair, we were playing it pre-release technically.
So we're playing Halo pre-release technically right now.
Yeah, I mean, people have been playing Fortnite technically pre-release for like 6 years before it was actually like
but we're playing Halo pre-release when the official launch is December 8th. We're playing the multiplayer beta. It even says beta on it.
Fortnite said beta for 7 years.
Nobody cares about Fortnite. Apples and oranges.
My point is that like we like obviously there's a grandiose difference here, right? Because like Battlefield's like obviously has some fucking issues. It had some goddamn issues, but
like an absurd amount of issues. Like the issues that we're experiencing right now. Like, I'm used to Battlefield being buggy, but the issues that we're having is like I feel like I'm playing the alpha of a game.
Well, see, here's what I would say is I don't think that there is a grandiose amount of bugs. I just think the bugs that we are getting are like game breaking bugs, and that's where like it becomes more frustrating because it was just like a lot of tiny bugs, it wouldn't be an issue, but because there's serious bugs, that's when it's like a problem.
Deployment bugs, respawn bugs, god mode bugs, class bugs, specialist bugs.
Those are all part of the deployment bugs, though.
No, I know this is like these all occur just like individually. Like sometimes it doesn't let you deploy. Sometimes it doesn't let you pick your classes. Sometimes it doesn't let you alter your kits. Sometimes there's people who can't die. There's hit markers that don't register at all, or like you'll be getting hit markers on people, but they won't be taking damage. There's texture tearing. There's map fall throughs. Dude, we're looking at a dozen plus like game breaking bugs.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that is a lot for launch. Granted, Battlefield has had a lot of bugs on launch history that usually get fixed within the first week.
But
I haven't played it
though. It wasn't launched though. That was the point.
That's why I'm saying. I was just about to say I haven't played it since it launched yesterday, but I haven't heard anything that's been fixed yet. I haven't seen any stories or any ongoing reviews or anything that has said it's been fixed.
That is better. Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, I keep seeing in conversation that those bugs are still persistent.
Now, do you think that's because like that it hasn't been fixed, or do you think that's because all the attention's on Halo right now?
No, I think it hasn't been fixed. I think again, I will preface this and say I really like Battlefield as a franchise, and I do have fun playing this game when it does work. But I think that because a lot of the original developers at DICE are no longer there, who have worked on the franchise between Battlefield 1942 to Battlefield 1/5, they're not there with the studio anymore. And I think this is another case of EA executives as well as top level investors saying this needs to come out.
Yeah,
I think that's what we're dealing with.
And Halo, yeah, that's fair.
Exactly.
That's
fair. Where EA always makes this mistake for some reason. It's like pitting games against other games.
Yeah,
When really,
I don't want to dive too deep on
Yeah,
that because
I
we
won't
could do
dive
an
into it.
entire conversation about
Yeah,
how EA is
yeah.
fucking up. What I will
Like-
say to kind of end up on this subject so we can move on here is like
Mhm.
it's disappointing because Battlefield 2042's gameplay is extravagant when it
It
is
is.
working. When it is working.
is.
I think I'm at a point where I actually can't admit that I like Battlefield 2042 more than I like the gameplay in Halo. But if it wasn't for the bugs, I'd be able to confidently say that. And
Yeah.
it's just the bug issues, the server issues, like all of that makes it sound like I'm just like, well, I'm gonna go play Halo now. I'm gonna go play Halo instead.
Yeah.
No matter how much
I-
more
I-
I like Battlefield's gameplay, I'm
Yeah.
gonna go play Halo instead.
It's like it's a massive multiplayer game, but if I'm playing with a condensed group of people, like if it's just like 2 to 3 other friends, I want to play Battlefield. But if I want to play with more than that, I'm gonna play Halo because we can play with 12 people at one
Sure,
time, and it's
sure.
some fun as shit. But
Sure.
anyways, moving on back to some Marvel content. Spider-Man. Michael Keaton confirms return as Vulture. We revealed during Jimmy Kimmel, but no confirmation on what movie it is for. So, I mean, we already know that he's showing up in Morbius. We see him
Yeah.
in the trailer.
Yeah.
So,
But Morbius is done filming though, and this was
know.
on November 14th. I think is what it said. This is recent. This is very recent.
yeah. So, I can see him being in Kraven.
Ooh, I like that. Yeah.
Yeah, I
can
could see
that,
him
yeah.
being in Kraven. And I think that No Way Home is an introduction to the idea of the Sinister Six.
Mhm.
But I think we're gonna get a true Sinister Six movie with like Kraven, Scorpion, Vulture, and whoever ends up remaining after No Way Home. I.e., maybe we might see Rhino come from the Garfield universe, because I would love to see that play out as well, because I thought the design of Rhino that they introduced in Amazing Spider-Man was really cool, with it being like a heavily armored like tank suit.
Yeah.
You know, instead of just a big bulky man.
Genesee, I want to hear you on you for this because we talked video games for a little bit here heavily. Well, what do you speculate on this?
I'm honestly having a difficult time wrapping my head around all of the things that are happening in Marvel right now.
That is so fair. That is so fair. Yeah.
Like and it's funny because I feel like as Marvel fans we take this shit so seriously. Like if we make a wrong prediction, like hopefully no one's gonna come out and like attack us for it. You know what I mean? But like that's how we act sometimes. We're like, when is Venom gonna come out? When is Venom gonna come out? And I'm like, oh no, don't ask me. But because at first we like, because of the post-credit scenes in Venom, we were like, oh shit, so he's gonna be in No Way Home, right?
Mm-hmm.
And now I'm like, I don't want him in No Way Home because so much is happening. Like just literally so much is happening in No Way Home. And it's going to be like a 3-hour movie. And I can't handle any more people in this movie.
Well, there's one more of the Sinister Six that is going to be revealed in this movie, because we have Lizard, we have Electro, we have Sandman, and we have who else? Green Goblin,
Octavius.
and Doc Ock. There's one more of the Sinister Six that we need revealed to us.
On that, I have 2 ideas for the realistic thing that it could be. I think it could be Ned as Hobgoblin, or Mysterio's not dead,
or Kraven, because that's a prediction I think that they could go for.
Yeah.
But it could also be Vulture. Like because these
Honestly,
are all characters that were part of the
Scorpion.
Sinister
Or
Six.
Scorpion.
Or Scorpion. Or Venom. It could be any of the fucking
There's a half a dozen possibilities.
Just
that we
to
know
keep
of.
things spicy, I would love it if Mysterio isn't dead this close following like the re-release of All Too Well and shit, because Marvel and Swift fans are already like, the intersection between Marvel and Swift fans are already like losing our goddamn minds over Mysterio memes with like All Too Well. It's really fun time on the internet.
Yeah.
So I would love that for us.
I mean, Mysterio is a good guy in the animated show and the comics for a little while. He could come in and help.
He could. Bringing it back to Venom, though, like, I think that we haven't heard anything about Doctor Strange, right? We haven't heard anything.
Like,
And I
is it
mean,
like his deeper involvement in everything? You mean?
oh no, not for I mean, like his movie that comes
Oh,
out
multiverse.
in like
Okay, okay,
March. Yeah,
okay.
and Multiverse of Madness. The more that comes out about Spider-Man No Way Home, I fully am like digging my heels into my theory that it's basically going to be a two-parter. That Spider-Man No Way Home and Multiverse of Madness are going to complement each other. And I think whatever happens, I think that the end of the trailer that we see, this most recent trailer, is going to be the end of the movie.
Yeah.
I really, 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 truly think that's going to be the end of the movie and leading into Multiverse of Madness.
So
Yeah.
do you think
So
Tom Holland's gonna be in multiverse?
I
Because
think there's a
his
possibility.
contract is up after this movie, though.
his contract is up. I think one of two things. Either Tom Holland is going to die in this movie, or
Uh-huh.
not, his character, not him.
Yeah.
Please don't kill Tom Holland. Please don't kill Tom Holland.
The movie releases on premiere night, and they just axe him across the fucking neck of the seat.
Jesus
He's like,
Christ.
please no, please no.
If anyone's going to
Zendaya, no.
start murdering their actors,
Why
it's
would you
gonna be
do this to me,
Disney.
Zendaya?
Why have you done this?
I thought you and Timothy weren't a thing.
Oh, I'm so sorry, Tom Holland, if you're listening to this. I'm so
We
sorry.
love you, Tom Holland. Love you.
so-
The second thing is that I think that he would have already filmed that, and that they do have him on contract for at least one more movie. I think it's very possible that they got him for more movies and just didn't tell anybody. Because if anybody other than Harry Styles can keep a secret, it's Disney.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
true.
I
It's
want to
true.
back you up on that because I know I've talked to Ernella about this before, that I could see that I have been kind of tinfoil hatting that Multiverse of Madness is a part 2 to No Way Home, with the cross of WandaVision as well.
Yeah.
You know, and I would not be surprised if we don't see Tom Holland Spider-Man. I think we might get Andrew Garfield Spider-Man, because there are the rumor mills that Andrew Garfield will be picking up the mantle of Spider-Man even after this movie. So, and I wouldn't say the MCU Spider-Man, but
Okay.
I mean, he could still be involved at least in one more MCU movie and then continue on in a Sonyverse type of thing, because we know that the Sonyverse and the MCU is cross-connected. Venom confirmed it. The Morbius trailer confirmed it. The rumors of No Way Home pretty much are like 98% confirmed, especially off of the edited videos that we've seen, that there is somebody magically not there punching Lizard in the face while Tom Holland is above that like specific
Yeah,
shot.
for like the,
You know what
the
I mean?
Central South American like version of the
Yeah,
trailer.
that's like a 99% conversation, like confirmation that there is another Spider-Man right there, or another hero, you know, but that they did not want to show,
because
you know.
there is more speculation on who that could have been or who it could be, and yeah, it's wild. I don't want to spend too
Also-
much time on the subject because it is
Yeah.
little waves, but final thought, Devin, what were you gonna say?
Another thing is too, we have characters that are being introduced in Multiverse of Madness that are confirmed, you know, like America Chavez. Like, she could be somebody who does show up in this movie, because I mean, it kind of fits in with the idea of like the younger like Avengers heroes too, and a lot of people have speculated who's going to lead the young Avengers, and a lot of people think that Spider-Man's going to be a part of that. So
I don't. You're gonna give me a heart palpitation adding more characters to this fucking Spider-Man
I'm
movie.
Literally.
hey, they've already
Truly.
been on record. They've already been on record saying that this is the most ambitious superhero film ever
No,
made.
sure, and it's just because in my mind I'm just like, we're gonna get, because I'm already like emotionally committed to seeing Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield on screen, right? It's like essentially all but confirmed, right? Like we've had this conversation for a fucking year now. Like I'm already emotionally committed to that, and then we have Doc Ock, we have the others of the Sinister Six, we have Lizard back. And the character design for the Lizard looks exactly the fucking same as Andrew Garfield's Lizard. We have Electro, Jamie Foxx back, looking better than fucking ever. You have Sandman, who we don't actually know which Sandman it's going to be. Is it going to be a new Sandman, or are we getting Hayden, whatever his fucking name is? That's Sandman again. There's implications that Doc Ock could actually turn sides and be a good guy in this movie. There's conversation about Mysterio coming back. We could get Venom. We could get Scorpion. We could get. There's a lot of fucking things happening here, and my body is just freaking the fuck out every time someone's like, oh, what if this happens and it's new? And I'm like, no, stop. I don't want any more new. I just want the movie to come out and I want me to experience it. And we're all going to see it on fucking opening night. Like, if we have to cancel Shipwreck Show for the night, we're going to see this opening night.
I mean, I almost kind of want to.
I think
I want
that's
to see it. I want to
100%.
see it like as
That's a good
early as we
plan.
can.
And now here's the deal too, Genesee. Do you have the Fandango app at all? Do you have the Fandango app?
No, but I
No.
can get it.
I would highly suggest, because I have the notification of my phone for like when the ticket sales drop for Spider-Man. But I'm scared it's not going to alert me in time. I almost want every single one of us to get like alerts
get it.
for the ticket
We,
drop.
we should also make a plan after this. Like, we'll stay on the call and figure out who's going to buy tickets. And just like
Well,
have that person set alarm.
Yeah, we'll just have to be like very much like
Vigilant.
ready to go on that. Xander in the chat.
Anywho.
Spoiler is confirmed. He showed up this week for spoiler footage. Okay, Xander. Well, I love you. We're not. Anyways, that has been Little Waves, right, Devin? We do not do a hands-on or the helm for our review segment, so we're going to jump right in to the juicy stuff. Devin, what is this segment called again? What is the name of this thing? What do we call this?
The Gallows.
Fucking go. It's lit. Guys, for the Gallows today, we are talking Ghostbusters Afterlife review. We saw this last night. It's lit. We're excited to talk about it with you guys. As per usual, we will spend the entire first half of this section, about 30-40 minutes, doing entirely spoiler-free. For all of you watching at home, listening at home, anyone that does not care about does care about spoilers, does care about spoilers, we will let you know when we are moving into full spoiler territory, so you can get the fuck out and go do your thing, watch the movie, come back, listen to this. This content will be here for you. Check it out then. So with that said, guys, Ghostbusters Afterlife, released November 18th, 2021, directed by one Jason Reitman, with a budget of $75 million. We do not have box office yet because it just came out a couple of days ago.
Oh,
but we will.
I saw it this morning, actually. This morning they announced 40 million so far.
40 million. Okay, so they've made half their budget, more than half their budget. Good for them.
Yeah.
Good for them, dude. Hell yeah. Some fun facts for you guys. First off, Finn Wolfhard did not know he was auditioning for Ghostbusters, as the audition sides were purposely kept to be generic and vague as the movie was being developed under secrecy. I didn't put it here. I don't believe. Yeah, I didn't put it here either. He also didn't think he would actually ever get casted for this part because of the first season of Stranger Things. He basically is a Ghostbuster. You know, they kind of like play with that in Stranger Things season 1, and he thought that would like make him not qualified for this part. And then they surprised him with doing this casting, and they were like, "Oh, guess what?" He was like, "No way!" And he was like freaking out about it. It's cute. It's cute.
That's
awesome. A lot of the fun facts we have for this are actually pretty fucking adorable. Director Jason Reitman appeared in Ghostbusters 2 in 1989 as the kid who tells Ray that, according to his dad, the Ghostbusters are quote-unquote full of crap. Jason Reitman is also the son of Ghostbusters 1984 and Ghostbusters 2 1989 director Ivan Reitman. So this is a family lineage that they have going on here.
That's awesome.
And it gets better. It gets better. Hold the phone here, guys. Bill Murray had been reluctant to reprise his role as Peter Venkman for decades, although he did return for Ghostbusters in 2009. He said in an interview that he finally chose to return because, quote, the script is good, it's got lots of emotion in it, it's got lots of family in it, with lines that are really interesting, it's going to work, end quote. Next up,
he would know.
Oh,
he would know.
he wouldn't. I mean, he's the original Ghostbuster. He's got
And
it.
he's
Got
Bill
it.
fucking Murray.
Bill fucking Murray, man. Bill fucking
Yeah.
Murray, you know what I mean? The movie
Yeah.
premiered at the New York Comic Con on the evening of October 8th, 2021, to a surprised audience attending the panel session of the ensemble cast. The panel consisted of director co-writer Jason Reitman, co-writer Gil Keenan, producer Ivan Reitman, the dad, McKenna Grace, Finn Wolfhard, Carrie Coon, Celeste O'Connor, and Logan Kim. Could you imagine going to a con panel and you're just chilling? You're, oh, I like Ghostbusters. I'll go see what the actors are talking about. And they say, oh, by the way, here's the movie. And you're like,
That'd be awesome.
I cannot.
That would be
I
so.
cannot.
I'd be like, I
fucking cool.
didn't take a bathroom break before this.
Be like, oh my god, I'm not
Same.
wearing my yellow pants. You're all gonna see my pee. Anyways, Xander says Paul Rudd is so sexy. It's true. He is the sexiest man of 2021, apparently.
Was he really?
Yeah, he got voted sexiest man for what the fuck is the magazine called? I forget. But yeah, he got voted sexiest man.
GQ? Is it GQ?
Yeah,
who does
it
that?
was GQ's. Yeah,
Of
sexiest
all
man
the
alive.
men,
Mm-hmm. Paul Rudd.
Paul Rudd. I'm
Rudd.
sorry, Paul Rudd. No
Listen,
hate. If you listen to us,
he's a
no
great
hate.
man. He's a great man. I mean, he's funny. You know, he's handsome.
Tom Holland, Harry Styles, all these men are just sitting here and they say Paul Rudd is the sexiest.
Nah. I mean, listen.
I'm sorry.
You're like, get fucked, or not.
Fucking offended.
Oh, my camera's getting all blurry. There we go. Cool. Next up, Jason Reitman. Woo! Jason Reitman showed his script to his father, Ivan, as well as Harold Ramis's family, who is the grandfather of the main character in this, one of the originals. Harold Ramis's family, so he could get their approval before officially starting the project. All of them gave their blessing, and Jason said in an interview that his father actually cried tears of joy when he saw the film's first cut.
That's amazing.
Which
That's
is
amazing.
also really amazing too. And I didn't put it here either, but it's very amazing because Jason spent years telling people that he would never do a Ghostbusters movie because him and his dad actually had a very like rocky relationship with each other over the years. And eventually, like, he got picked to do this, and he was like, "Sure, I'll take it on." And oh boy. Lastly, Ernie Hudson is credited as Dr. Winston Zedmore, indicating that in the time between Ghostbusters 2 and the new movie, Winston may have earned a PhD, which was hinted at in an in-game dialogue of Ghostbusters 2009 during a museum level. The video game took place in 1991, approximately 2 to 3 years after the events in Ghostbusters 2. The other 3 original Ghostbusters were all previously referred to as doctors in the original 2 movies. So Ernie Hudson is the black fellow as the Ghostbusters, and yes, there was a lot of attention on the fact that he was the only one back in the day that was not a doctor amongst them, and now and it's cool too because they, like, we'll talk about it later, but they kind of use that as a slight plot device in the last like sort of like acts of the movie or whatever. But yeah, him becoming a doctor is a big deal. That's a big deal. Like fucking good for him. Guys, let's do it. Devin, what were your top level thoughts of Ghostbusters Afterlife?
Immediately, 3-letter word, fun. It was a fun freaking movie. It was definitely it was wholesome. It was a good cast. There were times though I was like, this is a little cheesy. You know what I mean? But like, what do you expect? It's a Ghostbusters movie. One thing that I really enjoyed is it stayed really true to the original movies, you know, and even down to the special effects. Like, the special effects were modernized. They were cleaner. They were more clear, but very reminiscent of the same exact effects from the original movies. You know, especially down to the ghost design as well. You know, and character design too. I liked the playfulness of the movie as well. Not, you know, how the characters interacted. I loved the very dry, cheesy comedy that they put into between the kids. Like, I thought it was funny. like I did. I was like, that's funny, but that's a really bad joke. You know what I mean?
That's fair. That's fair. That's
Yeah.
fair.
Um. I like Finn Wolfhard, but I don't think he was that great in this movie personally. That's just me though.
It's fair. It's fair.
Yeah.
I'd agree.
I think the sister, do you guys know what that actress's name
The
is
sister.
by chance?
Which sister?
The
McKenna
the only
Grace.
sister.
McKenna Grace.
Yeah, I thought she
Yeah.
did phenomenal.
Yeah, Phoebe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Phoebe.
Mhm.
McKenna Grace was the star of the show. Her and
yeah. Oh yeah.
her and podcast.
Yes, podcast too. Yeah,
podcast.
is great.
Like
Podcast
I
is so
saw
cute.
podcast come onto the screen, and I was just like, oh my god,
Yeah.
it's her
Well,
now.
it's done. It's over. Truly.
Yeah, that's
Like-
fair. I'll take it. I'll take it.
If Vernell knew about podcasts when he was a kid, this would be him.
Oh, 100%. 100%. You do it
Like,
for the
straight up.
content. You know what I'm saying? You do it for the content.
Yeah.
Man. Do it for the content.
Literally.
I
Let's go.
loved how he was like narrating everything as they were doing it constantly. And like, this is a Ghostbusters movie, but it had Goonie vibes to it.
Mhm.
You know, the exploration, the way that the characters interacted, the poking fun at each other, you know, and all that, and just like they were so fearless throughout the movie too. They're just like, yeah, I'm gonna go down into this dark place where I know spooky shit's happening. You know what I mean? It's just like, okay, like,
Yep.
I was like, not like even today, I'd be like, nope, big nope. Dude, I'd be like Tracy Morgan from Cop Out. I'd just be like, no.
Dude, I
Hell no.
felt every
No.
single time a decision was made in this movie, I could feel me and Devin just shaking our heads. Like we were just like, no, no. Rarest of mics with a subscription. We love you, Mike. We love you, dude. Thank you so much. How you doing?
I
dude?
love you.
We are
Welcome back.
talking
Welcome
Ghostbusters
back.
Afterlife right now. Be warned, don't be warned just yet. We're in spoiler free right now, but we will let you know once we're in spoiler territory. So just
Yeah.
let you know. Continue. Devin.
But yeah, overall, movie was fun.
Mhm.
The effects were exactly what they needed to be for a Ghostbusters movie.
Mm.
It held true to the original movies. Yes, Mike, it did have a couple jump scares in it. It's not like a
Yeah.
very scary movie, but it did. I think I counted like at least 3 or 4 solid jump scares.
Mhm.
I
Like,
screamed a
yeah.
few times.
Yes, you did.
Because
Yes, you
I'm a
fucking did.
scared
Yeah, you
little
did.
bitch.
Yeah.
I was dying.
Yeah. No, it did, and it was enjoyable. They made it feel realistic, if that makes any sense. You know,
Down to earth.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
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 Exactly. And I really enjoyed that. Mike, it's not a scary movie at all. Right before you hopped in, I was talking about how it's like the Goonies, actually.
Mhm.
So I definitely recommend it. Yeah, and my other feeling, I thought the mom was kind of annoying,
Yes.
just a little bit.
Well,
I
I'm
thought the
sure
mother
we'll
was kind
dive way deep into that
Yeah.
in spoilers, but big agree.
Yeah,
We will.
Big
Yeah.
agree.
We will.
and Paul Rudd was awesome.
Fuck yes, he was, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
He's a
like
very
Xander
funny
said earlier,
man.
he is the immortal one, and he looks great with a beard, just like
Yes.
Oscar Isaac looks great with a beard.
Yes.
I think we
he
have
does.
different daddy issues, you guys. I think we have different things going on.
Arguably. Genesee.
I'm a little biased when it comes to beards. Okay.
Fair.
Genesee.
Fair.
What were your top level thoughts of Ghostbusters Afterlife?
I love it because my first note that I have is it's a very fun movie. So Devin and I are totally on the same page. It's very fun. Like if you asked me one word to describe it, is fun. I do think it did not have to be that long. The action sequences came close to ruining it for me, and I think that really has to do with the villains didn't sit for me. They just didn't hit it. I felt like that part of the plot development was very sloppy. That's not to say that the like ghosts that they're fighting were not well done, because I think that the ghosts, and they did like played homage to like the original ghosts from the original movies, and I thought that was really good. But overall they had a lot going on with the different like ghosts and like villain type characters that it got really messy for me, and I didn't
So
love that.
if you don't mind me chiming in, did I don't know how big of a Ghostbusters fan you were when you watched like the originals or anything like that?
When I watched it, I was very young, so it
Okay,
was one of
fair
those
enough.
things that, like, I felt like it was like a classic. It was like I really enjoyed it because it was a classic and it was very fun, but I definitely haven't watched it in recent years,
Okay. So what I
for real.
can tell you is that the this isn't gonna be much spoilers because they basically like state this stuff in the trailer. For anyone that has the background knowledge on this, the villain in this movie is actually the same villain from the first Ghostbusters movie,
Mhm.
and
Yep.
so that's
Yeah.
why it's such a pivotal thing.
Yeah.
Just because it's the same exact character
Yep.
essentially.
And
Yeah. But
yeah, and
And
they
I
make a
didn't
lot of
know that. Yeah.
references to is like well, I guess that would be spoiler, but they make a
yeah, oh yeah,
ton of
we'll
references
we'll
Yeah.
get there.
to
We'll
the
get there.
original movie.
Yeah,
You
They
yeah,
know,
do. They do.
and they did a good job in connecting the points. I thought
yeah.
in as well as you could in this type of movie.
Sure,
Right.
sure. Genesee,
And I
continue
think
though.
that that's tough too because it is a very difficult balance when you are trying to like there's a difference between recreating something and like paying homage, and I feel like they really were paying homage but also trying to recreate it in certain respects. And there were some spots where it fell short for me, and that I was like I think that they did a very good job of like referencing the originals and all of that, but you have to be very careful when you're doing like a reboot type thing, you know? And there were just some parts of that that just didn't hit right. Um Overall though, very good movie, very fun. The humor in this movie was hilarious. I
So
was
good.
dying laughing the whole time. They had Phoebe's character, one of my biggest like overall thoughts of the movie was I see a lot like interacting with so much media as we do and so many media reviews. I see a lot of stuff about like the stories people want to see, especially as like I'm a content creator around queer media, so I read a lot about like what kind of queer media people want to see in different respects. And one of the things that I love seeing is that like people are fed up with the like 12-year-old boy like savior, you know, like or
Yeah,
like 17-year-old boy savior, like the very like the lightning thief books and movies and
yeah.
um Maze Runner and all of that. They're just we're tired of it. Like I saw a tweet one time that was like, I'm done with seeing like 12 to 17-year-old boys run around saving the earth. Like give me a 40-year-old mom who's having a midlife crisis, like out here going to save the world.
Sure.
And that's how I felt about the main character of this movie was absolutely Phoebe,
Yeah.
which I thought was really funny because I think everyone was set up for it to be Finn Wolfhard's character, right?
The way they promoted
Um,
it and everything.
the
Yeah,
way
yeah,
Mhm.
the
yeah.
way they promoted it, just knowing him from Stranger Things, like I thought it was going to be his movie, and we get there and it's not, and it's totally Phoebe's movie. And the actress McKenna Grace did a phenomenal job with just the weight of that role. And so not only is it like we're following, we kind of flipped that script, and now we have a 12-year-old girl who's out here to save the world. But also they wrote her as neurodivergent. And I really also enjoyed that aspect of it, is that they were, while they didn't use like specific terms in terms of like a diagnosis, she was very aware of how she interacts with the world and like how she interacts with people, and like using terms and stuff like things being like overstimulating and whatnot. Like the way that she was interacting with the world around her was incredible to me as a young heroine. I thought that they did really, really phenomenal things with her character that set this movie apart for me. I did not know the background of the director of this movie being the son of the original director and them having not had a relationship for a while. So that makes a lot of sense because I was watching this and being like, there are a lot of daddy issues in this, like just
Yeah, yeah.
so many. I was like, this is like, and it's a Ghostbusters movie, but it's about daddy issues, right?
Very much so.
You know,
Yes.
on that note, in the movie, they even reference, "Hey, you're already a better parent because you showed up."
Yeah.
This
Yeah,
this
they reference
this
that.
movie's got a very
Yeah.
very deep rooted theme around like daddy problems, and it's like
Absent fathers. Yeah.
yeah, it's very ham fisted in a
It's
way that
big.
like you're like Jason, like bro,
I was like, whoa.
have you
I
done
needed a
therapy
trigger
recently?
warning.
Like continue,
Have you
I'm
gone
sorry.
through? No, but for real, for real. And especially when the like, oh, that might be spoilers, but it just yeah, the
Yeah.
relationships with parents was something, and we'll probably get more into
Yeah.
that. But yeah, it was very campy. I would say overall, I felt like the characters were pretty one dimensional, which is probably also why we all had issues with the mom because her like
Yeah.
one character thing
Yeah. Yeah.
was her
Sure.
relationship with her dad, and I was like, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Sure.
What else?
Excuse me, y'all.
Yeah.
I actually have to take a Xander really bad right now.
Go.
I'll be right
What does
back.
that
Go.
mean?
He's got to pee. He's got to pee and grab a drink.
Oh, that's excellent. I'll start using that because I always have to pee.
Continue though, Genesee.
Those were actually like my top level thoughts. Is and the final one was it felt like I didn't hate the characters, but for the most part they felt very one dimensional.
Yeah, sure.
Very much
That's
so.
fair.
I think Phoebe is somewhat an exception to that, but at the same time, I feel like she could have been better developed because she is such an interesting character, and I feel like such a different character for not just being the main character of a movie, but being the main character of a Ghostbusters movie. She was very different.
Yeah.
And so yeah,
That's
those
fair.
are my thoughts.
That's fair. So I guess to start out, like I have I'm honestly very surprised with how much I enjoyed this movie. I'm very pleasantly surprised with how much I enjoy this movie. I feel like that this movie was paced extremely well. That was the first thing that sort of like came to mind as like the movie was kind of playing out. Where like I wasn't bored during any part of this movie at all. Like I felt like every single moment, every single scene, every single like part of this movie had a purpose, and I feel like that they all rolled into each other very very well, and because of such, I felt like the movie had my attention the entire damn time. This movie had my attention. I was not bored whatsoever. I will say that that I will agree with you in the end that like a lot of the characters felt one dimensional, but one of the big things for me was that like I had very limited expectations coming into this, where I was like, we all got kind of burned by the last Ghostbusters movie, and it was contrary to popular belief with a lot of people, it was not because it was for women. It was because it was legitimately just a really bad movie. It was just not a good fucking movie. They were trying so hard to make it something it did not need to be.
I didn't even watch it because I was like, this isn't gonna be good.
Yeah, not very good. They tried, and it did not fucking work out in their favor. I'll tell you that. I came into this movie not really expecting too much, and I feel like because I was not expecting much, I was able to kind of come into it with sort of a expectation that I could build on, if that's a good way to put that. Because as I started to realize within the first maybe 15 minutes of this movie that this movie was not aimed for our demographic. This was a middle school to freshman year of high school movie.
Mm-hmm.
And then on top of that, for people that are nostalgic, diehard Ghostbusters fans, that's who this movie is for. This movie is for 12 to 16-year-old kids that are wanting to get their foot in the door of being Ghostbusters fans. If their parents like Ghostbusters, now they have something to be able to talk to their parents about. And I in a lot of ways, like I really appreciated that. I really really appreciated that. And they didn't try too hard to make it more than that. You know what I mean? They kind of just committed to the idea that are like, no, this is a youth movie. It's a movie for youth. And once I got that concept and I picked up on that, the rest just sort of like clicked for me, and the rest sort of fell into place. So I was like, okay, I know what this movie is now. And it's exactly like Devin was saying. This movie is another Goonies. It's another Goonies. It's kids are doing kids things, and the kids are smarter than the parents, and they're going out and doing adventures, and things happen, and the kids have to deal with trials and tribulations to get over the bad thing that has happened to them. And that is rad. That is the longest Xander you could have possibly have taken.
It wasn't a P, wasn't it? Wasn't.
Well, I mean, we don't have to go into details.
I love you.
But let's just say I had a couple cups of coffee earlier, okay?
Oh, okay, sure. I got you. Yeah, so when this movie clicked into place for me when I had a realization that it was a kids movie. And that made things a lot easier for me to sort of like handle the setup of everything else, because once I framed it like this is not going to be a Dune in any way, shape, or form. This is not going to be a life-changing experience. That's how I was able to just tame my expectations and say, okay, I need to look at this from an angle that this movie is a kids movie. So let's critique it as a kids movie and experience it as a kids movie. And because of such, I love this movie. I love this movie because I'm thinking in my brain, if I was 14 years old, this movie would have slapped. This movie would have fucking slapped. I would have been a diehard Ghostbusters fan after this movie, dude.
Yeah, it's just like I was saying earlier. It felt like a modern day Goonies.
It's a modern day Goonies. Yeah. It's a modern day Goonies. That's all. It's kids going on adventures, and I'm fucking here for it. I'm also going to nickname this movie "White Kids Doing White People Stuff" because that is exactly what me and Devin's experience was.
There was two marginalized people doing white people stuff, being completely okay with it.
It was just nutty. It was nutty, dude. Like I was like, why? Like everything that was happening, I was like, why are you doing that? Why are you doing that? Like every single damn time.
Big note.
Now, what I can say too though is, Genesee, you are right. There's a lot of one dimensions to some of these characters, but I think that is just played into the fact that it's a kids movie, so they didn't need to really give them too many dimensions, and that's fine. You know, like I feel like that's fine. Like it's all right.
Yeah,
you know.
I also though like taking it as a kids movie, and this was kind of a grievance I had, not just from a character standpoint, but from a plot standpoint. Is I think one, we don't give kids enough credit.
Sure. Yes.
Like, yeah. We just, especially when it comes to being critical about the media that they're absorbing, I just don't think that we're giving them enough credit. And I mean, like my little brother, who is now 16, I mean, from the time he was probably like 13 or 14, he could give you like a pretty critical analysis of why like transgender representation in media sucks, and why like representation of autism people of people with autism sucks in media, and I mean even further than that. So I do think that there were ways in which like the character development of this like was probably pretty apparent to anybody watching it above the age of like 12.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like it's not a deep movie. No matter what age you're watching it, like it's not a deep movie. Don't go into this movie expecting that you're going to get something super profound, super deep, like excellent cinematography. That's not the purpose of this movie, and it's a great movie for what its purpose is. I would really love to see them lean a bit more into the Goonies side of things that Devin's talking about, into this like idea of like, I love that they centered it around kids, especially with the context of it kind of being the director like moving on from his problems with his dad, like taking that back to the perspective of a child, and like revisiting this world that was very much his father's, and putting that through the lens of kids going into this ghost busting world. I love that. I also think oh no.
No, I'm sorry. I'm just laughing because I said I know I said I'm gonna take a Xander earlier, and I just see Xander in chat just bruh with the sun's face.
Yeah, sure.
I just saw that.
Sure.
Sorry. I'm sorry to continue.
But yeah, so I think that especially right now, we're getting to a point in media where people are taking a much better approach to creating media for like in the book world, what we would call like young adult, for that like middle school to like early high school age person. Like Stranger Things is a great fucking example because it follows kids who are like actual children casted in that role. And that's really kind of ignited this whole generation of young Hollywood that we are seeing them in roles that are appropriate for their age. They are like, and it's not this like, I love Disney. We all know I'm a Disney whore, but like Disney is not great at representing children. They're not great at representing middle schoolers. I think they're getting a lot better with the content they're putting out on Disney Plus. I think High School Musical, the musical, the series is a great example of that. Shut the fuck up, Devin. I got through that with a straight fucking face. If I can do it, you can do it. Go
No,
fuck
I
yourself.
can't. I can't. It's such a bad
I
name.
did- I
It's
did.
such a bad name. High
That's
School
true.
Musical, the musical, the series.
I
It's
knew
worse.
it was gonna
Like,
fucking get.
What idiot decided that that's how
So-
this show needs to be made? Like, we need to say
Well,
musical twice.
We'll get
Devin's
into
done being unprofessional.
we'll get into the logistics of High School the Musical the series
But what I'm the point I'm trying to make. Thanks, Devin. Jesus
later
Christ.
date. Anyways, trying to say
I'm
I'm
trying
sorry.
to make is that like we're starting to get media that is representative of what it's like to be a young person, and that's not even just for middle schoolers and high school. Like I love things like this movie and Stranger Things, and even Eternals did it. Like they have like a child character flipping people off, like their elders flipping them off. Because I hate to tell you this, but when I was a kid, not too long ago, well, yeah, kind of long ago.
Do
at this
you
point,
really hate?
was flipping people off? Do I what?
I said, do you really hate to tell people that? Because that's like
No.
you. You know? But
It is.
like,
I am here. I have been here since the beginning of time. You can't convince me that I didn't come out of my mother being like,
yeah, for
Go
real.
go
And
go
like-
ahead and finish
like,
up your thought. I want to finish up my question on this real quick. If you
I
could.
wanted to add on to the child star and you know, in Hollywood and stuff like that. A really good example of this, very ironically actually, is the Chucky series, because
Yeah.
they are all child actors cast in child roles. They're acting like children. They really are. And it is very representative in a lot of different ways, whether it be marginalized people dealing with kids dealing with depression in high school, and
exploring
you know,
their gender or sexuality.
exactly.
Which
Exactly.
another thing is like the main character in this, she doesn't have a sexuality, but she very much is dressing like a lesbian, and I love that for her.
she's very like her mindset so far. Granted, she's 12 years old in this movie, but
Yeah.
it's a very like it kind of reminds me of like the scientist who refers to themselves as asexual and, you know, stuff like that.
Very like young Sheldon-esque
Mhm,
sort of thing
mhm.
going on. Yeah.
But yeah,
And-
continue. Sorry.
No, but that's great. And like on the, because I have to do this, I'm sorry, but on the note of like her being 12, like I think that it's very important that like we acknowledge that in terms of like sexuality and gender identity, like our kids are thinking about this. And like they also like we talk about like I get so frustrated because people are like, oh well, that character is 12, so she can't possibly be a lesbian. It's like lesbians don't just like happen when we're adults. Like I don't know how to tell you this. You don't get to 25 and you're like, oh shit, I'm a lesbian. Like it's something that's been there the whole time. Also, we don't have a problem with kids being straight. But for some reason, like having some sort of concept of gender being something other than cisgender, or sexuality being something other than straight, we start to be like, oh well, they couldn't possibly know that at 12, which I don't think that is at all true. But that's not the point. My point was that like, well, actually, that kind of is my fucking point. My point is that like themes like that, and like just like we're starting to see so many things in media now that are more representative of what people are experiencing at every stage in life. We're seeing more shows and movies about like middle-aged women going through a divorce or being single and being okay with that, and you know, just stuff like that. So many different things that we're seeing, and I think that because there's a possibility that we'll keep getting more Ghostbusters content. I think that if they keep this like child cast that they have, I think it would be really interesting if they lean a bit further into that, but also lean further into this like mystery thing they have going on. Like, I would have loved to see if that. Fuck, spoilers. So I'll save that for spoilers. I'm giving it back to you, Ronell.
Okay. So there's a few things that you said that I actually extremely disagree with. So
Okay.
yeah, and so one of the things off the top of my head is I think that they overcommitted to Goonies in this. I think they overcommitted to it, and so to me, I feel like this movie suffers from a couple of things. Okay, one is that it was both overly committed to being Goonies, and it was also overly committed to being fan servicey, and because of such, there's no balance between the two. And like, I wish they would have just picked one to sort of like really just put like dive into those eggs being in that basket instead of kind of just jumbling up between the two and just filling up the basket over the brim with things that are from both of these categories. Because it's like, this is super adventurous, super kids adventure, super Goonies, but it's also super Easter egg, super fan servicey, super homage to the original Ghostbusters. And I feel like there's not enough space for those two things to coexist in 1 2-hour movie. And because of such, a lot of things get lost in translation. You know what I mean? Like, I can see where like kids could be able to watch this movie and be like, this is a lot of fun. But there's a lot of stuff in this that they're just not going to understand, not because they're not kids, but because they weren't 40-year-old Ghostbusters fans.
For real.
And Devin, go ahead.
So the reason why I think it's like that is because it's meant to be an experience for both kids and their parents to see together.
Very much so.
Yeah.
And I caught on to that. I just wish they didn't do that.
I would agree with that 100% or not.
I will say, for me personally, as someone who still like watches Pixar and DreamWorks movies and stuff like that, you know, I actually enjoyed both of those things coinciding together personally. So from my perspective, I don't think it was too much. I thought it was too little on both ends. So
Really?
I feel, yep.
We're all over the map.
Yeah, no, and that's perfectly
no,
fine.
that's cool.
That's perfectly
I love
fine.
it. This is great.
Like,
yeah.
I would have liked to see a little bit more of the old school stuff mixed in with it, but I would like to see more of the old school stuff mixed in with the amount of the Goonies style-esque things that we are talking about. Because I thought the Goonies-esque style things that we're talking about that were there were there for good reason, because they are kids. It's supposed to be fun. It's supposed to be an adventure. You know, I would have liked to see a little bit more of Easter eggs and references to the original movies. And I in that sense, I guess what I'm getting at is maybe I would have just liked to see more ghosts, you know?
Okay,
See,
sure.
I think
there's
that's possible.
Because there's a lot of Easter eggs in this. There's a lot.
I know, but see, here's, I mean, think about it in this sense, especially when we talk about Marvel. I love the overload of information, because for me, it stimulates my brain and I start thinking about all the what ifs in scenarios. No pun intended. What if? But I like lots of things in movies in this sense, because I don't think this is the type of movie that is supposed to be extravagant storytelling, dialogue heavy, or anything like that. You know what I mean? I think this is the kind of movie that goes from point to point to point and is supposed to be fun, comedic, with some action and some cool parts along the way. You know what I mean? Because like, if you go into a movie like this knowing that and not expecting it to be a you know, they're not shooting for the Oscars with this movie. They're not shooting for any Academy Awards.
It's a kids movie. That's
exactly
the point. Like
exactly. And like, I can't say anything else until we get to the spoiler, because I have more to say about this.
Is what you're trying to say is more so that you wish they would have handled like fan servicing differently? Is that more so what you mean?
Just a little better. I want the level of fan service it had, because
no, for
like,
sure.
I haven't seen those Ghostbuster movies in quite a long time personally. But like, when I saw the stuff, I was like, oh
yeah,
that's awesome.
Yeah,
that's how I was sitting there, even though I was sitting there quietly sipping my 1/8 left of soda as slowly as I can while I eat this heavily saturated buttered popcorn. I was like, oh, that is cool.
So I'll be able to better elaborate with what I'm talking about in the spoilers section, but for like to me it just felt like that like this movie would have had a lot more justice for it if they would have just committed one way or the other and used the other to sort of like create more padding. Because like okay, in a perfect world to me, I wish they would have just committed to this being a kids movie all the way,
Yeah.
give us full 100% Goonies style kids adventure, and then just
That's what I was saying.
and then litter it with some of the homage that we needed, especially considering what we got in the end of this movie. Because the third act of this movie is so fan servicey that it's no longer kids adventure. And so like because
And
of
that's where
such
it lost me. That's where it lost me.
and that's kind of like, now here's the deal though. I really enjoyed the third act. It didn't lose me. It was just whiplash from the first two acts of this movie going into the third act. I was like,
Yeah.
that was a crazy ramp up between the two, but go ahead, Devin.
The thing on that, and I think production knows this, if they didn't do that heavy-handed fan service, the actual Ghostbusters fan base, like people who love Ghostbusters, would have been pissed.
Yeah.
I'm not saying they shouldn't have done any fan service.
No,
Right.
I'm not saying that, but if they didn't do it the way they did,
Yeah.
I think there would have been granted, there probably already is a fan base out there that's fucking pestered about this, because there always is with, pop culture media in on this level. But I feel like we would have been seeing a lot of conversations about, oh, they're trying to remake it this and make it a kids movie when it's supposed to be a comedy, blah blah blah. I mean?
I think we're having a misconstruction of what we're considering fan service in this situation, because I think you and I are actually in agreement. I think
Okay.
you and I are on the
Okay.
same page, and we'll dive further into it in spoilers. But let me finish my part here, and then we can move into spoilers here. Just for people at home, I think this movie is a lot of fun. It's a really really fun movie. It does a lot of really really fun things, and if you are at all a Ghostbusters fan, you're gonna have a good time. I just think that this movie suffers from a few things that like a majority of just not very well made kids movies suffer from. So I would say that this is a very well made. Hold on, let me rephrase. This is a very good, not good kids movie. A very well written, not well written kids movie. So it's like if you take something like a very just non-popular, not great kids adventure film and then make it good, that's what this is. It's like this is Percy Jackson the Lightning Thief, but better.
Better.
It
take
kind
that.
of
This is the Maze
take
Runner,
that.
but better. Like this is a good Maze Runner. Like
was good, so shut up.
no, this is I like this more than Maze Runner.
yeah.
There you go.
You know what movie I actually put this on the level of? Super 8.
Super 8.
I
Yep,
don't know that
it's
I
a
watched
Steven
that.
Spielberg movie.
The documentary for it, because they're like on a camera, a Super 8 camera.
No.
Well, that's
No,
why it's
it's
called
not a
Super.
doc-
Well, I know it's not a documentary. It's a
form.
documentary format. So it's like they're using the Super 8 movie film thing for part of it, and then it goes into like regular movie stuff after that.
It's
Isn't
regular movie stuff throughout the whole thing. I don't think you guys have watched that movie, but it's
I
actually a
haven't.
good movie.
It's called Super 8 because they're using a Super 8 camera.
I'll put
That's
it
why
on
it's
my
called
list for
that.
you, honey. I'll do it.
Um,
Let me go to my movie
Super
list.
8. Yeah, I know I've only
Uh,
watched it once though. I've only watched
Josh
it once.
Josh in the chat, that was a good movie.
That was it. If I remember it like for what it was,
Let-
it was good. It was good. It
It's
was good.
It's aliens.
Yes,
based.
yes, it was good. It was good. Okay,
Mhm.
I haven't seen the cast for it. Yeah, no, that's a good comparison. I think that's a good comparison, and I think like don't go into this thinking that it's going to be some extravagant, life changing fucking experience, because it's not. It is
It's
a
a
youth.
Fun movie.
It's a fun movie.
fun
It is
movie.
a fun movie. Like it like you're just in it to have a fucking fun time. If you are at all a Ghostbusters fan, you will enjoy it to some extent or another.
If you like
period.
Ghostbusters, if you like Stranger Things, if you like The Goonies, if you like Super 8,
Yeah,
this
It
is
is
the
not
type of movie.
nearly. It is not nearly as well done as Stranger Things, in my opinion. And I think
I
having
agree.
like the
I
same
agree.
main character,
Big
you should
agree.
definitely go in knowing that it is not to the same caliber, and he is not up nearly to the caliber that he can act at.
Not at all.
Yeah.
Not at all.
Not at
Like
all.
So
this is a very he's like a second rate character in this movie.
He is.
Yeah,
And honestly,
he's not even. I don't even think he's like a side character, really. Like he's sort of like there to fill space in a weird
he
way.
is the brother. He is the brother
Yeah,
character. Like
he has his parts though. Like his defining, not like defining, but like he has his part of the story.
His moments,
But
yeah.
exactly, because there are moments where it's just him and what is known as second or third hand characters. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I
Or
feel like
extras, as you
if they
would say.
do a sequel to this, they have the ability, they've set him up well to be a good
Mhm.
character. In this movie specifically, he was just a character. He wasn't great. He wasn't well developed.
But Phoebe was awesome. I love her.
Phoebe was
I love her.
incredible, and I think that's the way it should have been. I think that in terms of casting on that part, like he's a great actor and he's great. I don't think he
Mhm.
was particularly right for this role because I feel like they're underutilizing him. I think a lot of people are going to go to this movie for him and be
Mhm.
disappointed,
Mhm.
and
I
then
can see that.
possibly not appreciate the movie for what it is. When I would say you should absolutely go for McKenna Grace.
Mhm.
Whether you know her or not, you are going to leave this movie
And Paul
being
Rudd.
in love in Paul Rudd. Paul Rudd got more screen time than Stranger Things dude. Like
And
100%.
Finn Wolfhard.
Yeah.
Yeah. And but Paul Rudd did great, and like
Paul
his
Rudd did do great.
chemistry with McKenna Grace was actually really good.
It was really good.
It was
Honestly,
really good.
I wish they would, and that's I think the second half or like the last third of the movie really fell off for me because the first part of it was so good. The humor was so on point. The relationships were really good. I think when they started leaning more into the ghosts, the way they did the ghosts, I didn't like because you really had to.
Hold on.
Oh,
We're
shit.
teetering. We need. Yeah, no, it's okay.
You're right.
It's okay.
You're right.
We're
You're right.
getting there.
Thank
We're
you.
getting there.
Stop me.
To finish my thoughts.
I'm so sorry.
Never.
I'm so
okay.
sorry,
Never finish.
sweetie.
It's all right.
Blue balls or no?
Jesus. you guys.
This is episode 69.
You guys are gonna have fun watching this movie. If you're a Ghostbusters fan, definitely see it. Devin, do you think people should see this movie?
Yes.
And what is your rating?
7 out of 10.
Genesee, do you think people should see this movie? And what is your rating?
I think if you want a fun, campy movie, and you know what you're going into, then yeah, you should definitely watch it. Rating, if I'm being honest, I fucking hate rating scales, but I'll do it for you guys because I love you. I'll give it a 6 out of 10, and please don't fight me because rating scales
fair.
are
fair.
so subjective and they make me angry.
Yeah,
I would
totally fine.
6 out of 10 or 1 fuck to give.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I think people should definitely see this movie. I think it's a lot of fun. I can't necessarily say that you should rush to theaters to see unless you are a Ghostbusters fan. There is space to wait on this if you're not a diehard. It is a lot of fun though. If you need something for your kids to see, or if you just want some nostalgia, it's a good movie for you. I would definitely recommend it for that. I actually want to give this movie an 8. Because I genuinely liked this movie a lot. I thought it was handled very, very well. And the way that they handled the character development, the way they handled the relationships, I feel like that the homage was done extremely well. I think people would actually enjoy this movie as a movie and not just a Ghostbusters movie. But again, though, I'm putting this in a frame of this is an 8 out of 10 for a kids movie. And that is very different than because the way that I pictured it is like the other week I gave Red Notice on Netflix a 7.5, and that movie is very 7.5, and I think this movie is better than Red Notice, and that says a lot. So I would feel off if I gave Red Notice a 7.5 and did not give this a higher rating. With that said, that means our official good Kraken score is going to be a 7 out of 10 for Ghostbusters Afterlife on
Or
average between the three of us here. What's up,
or
Devin?
for this episode's sake, it is a 6.9 out of 10. Per
Nice,
Hood Ramsey in chat.
nice. Everyone,
This is episode 69 of the Good Kraken.
everyone, we have about 20 minutes of spoilers that we're going to talk about. We're going to move into spoiler territory now. Please, if you do not want spoilers, go ahead, head on out, watch the movie, come back. This content will be here for you. If you do not care about spoilers, stick around, hang out with us, have some fun in this conversation. We're gonna make it very quick because we're already running real tight on fucking time. But with that
I'm gonna
said,
go take a Xander.
okay, with that said, Devin, spoiler territory. Let's go. What you got for me, baby? Elaborate on what you were telling us.
Okay, so I love the fact that Paul Rudd just like knows, like his character Gary knows the history of the Ghostbusters and is like secretly obsessed with it.
Yeah.
You know, because the second he sees the device, the ghost capture box, he's like, "Where the hell did you get that?
Yeah.
That's a great replica." And then he's like, "Wait, this is real." Now, here's one thing. I want to know how he knows it's real. Has he seen one in person before?
Well, if you remember, he thought it was fake at first. He put it down,
Yeah.
and the little spirally smoke thing came out of the top of it that was glowing.
Oh yeah, and then he was like, "Wait,"
and he was like, "It's real," and they were like, "Uh huh." I think he played that part as well as he did because I think low key Paul Rudd might actually be a big Ghostbusters fan, and so it's easy for him to actually just have that reference.
Yeah. No, he has to be. I thoroughly enjoyed that. And like going back to like my conversation about the special effects and how I wanted to talk about that earlier, but it was getting spoiler. It's dude, the ghosts were like the same exact design as well as the gargoyles and stuff from the original movie, like to a T, but just polished. And it was amazing how well they pulled that off. What like on top of that, like Spangler as a ghost and the way that he interacts with his granddaughter was probably like near the end of that movie. After everything that's transpired, I was like, "You're not crying. I'm about to cry right now." Like
Dog, the third act was sad as fuck.
Yeah.
Oh
like,
my god.
I kind of quivered my lip just a little bit, and I was like, it's not quite there, but like it's there. You know what I mean?
As some peeps between all three of us, we got some daddy problems. This movie did some touching on me. It touched a little bit. I was like, oh god, my feelies.
And I feel like that was the whole theme of the movie too, is how he left his family because he knew something bad was about to happen.
Yeah.
But he didn't want to leave his family. You know what I mean? And he saw it as like a necessary evil. And like the part that I got really teary is when the mom finally found his like secret workshop.
Yeah.
And she saw the whole board of her
God
life.
damn it, dude. Yeah.
And then she's like, you saw it in her head. She's like, "I've been a fucking bitch this whole time."
And it's like, yeah, we know.
You cannot
We're fucking aware.
Any more aggressive. I've been a fucking slag all my life about this. Oh my god.
Yeah. And I as much as like the mom character kind of annoyed me like most of the movie, like she had her moments, you know. The actress displayed a good emotion in that part, like very well.
She did.
Because like you saw like the like that, you know, that like that stomach feeling you get, and just like that overwhelming weight, like you could see that in her character. But I loved all of Paul Rudd's parts, and like as cheesy marketable as the whole Walmart part is with the little marshmallow guys and everything.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed that because he's all sitting there. He's like, "Hello, little guy."
That was really cute.
You know what I mean? He's just like puzzled and like And then when he sees the fucking gargoyle, and then he finally realizes what's going on, he just throws the ice cream and hits it directly in the head, like
You died
spot
at
on.
that. You died
I-
so hard at that part. You can be cracking up.
Yeah.
If I could jump in, I kind of want to.
Yeah,
I feel like I
absolutely.
need to elaborate a little bit on the point I was making prior to
Mhm.
moving into spoilers here. So I feel like this movie struggled in a lot, like in a massive accumulation of a lot of little tiny things, and a lot of that was like the way that they handled homage to the originals was
Mhm.
like this weird mix where they were like, we want to pay homage to the originals because this is the granddaughter of Egon, and which, by the way, they fucking handled that so well. I want to throw that out there because McKenna Grace handled playing Egon's granddaughter to a T. She everything about her character was done so fucking. She was adorable. She was dorky, and she imbued his personality from the first two movies in such a way that like that felt right. It felt right, and seeing her go from The Haunting of Hill House playing as one of the daughters to this was a daunting change because I forgot she was one of the daughters from Haunting of Hill House until the
I did
third
too.
act when her hair was all fucked up, and I was like, oh, it's her. And then it hit me, and I was like, oh my god, she's killing this shit. She's killing it, dude. Like, so damn good. So damn good. Anyways, though, they like now that we're in spoiler territory, we can mention the original Ghostbusters are in this movie.
Yeah.
The original Ghostbusters are in this movie.
Every
And
single one of them.
every single one of them, except for the one that died, because unfortunately they had to recast him with someone else because he passed away in 2014. Which ripped to
That's
him.
the ghost one, right?
But
Yeah,
his
Grandpa, yeah.
character,
Yeah.
his character
Is in the
and
movie.
remembrance,
Yes.
and they honored him very well.
Yes.
I did love that.
yes.
Yeah.
Now-
That symbolism was really beautiful.
Now, the reason that I said that the fan servicing in this was just overflowing in comparison to the kids stuff too, like it felt like they had this one basket, and the basket was the movie, and they said, okay, we got to fill this basket with kid shit, and they start throwing kid shit in there. They're like, okay, well now we want to fill the basket with some homage to the originals, and usually movies that do this say, okay, well we can only fill the basket up to this point. In this movie, they're just dumping both in until both are falling out of the edge of the basket. And it to me, it felt like because they didn't just commit to one way or the other more than the rest, both just sort of like kind of got lost in translation with each other. Like they just started sort of like becoming existent just to exist rather than having a point and reason to why it was doing something. So the reason I said, Devin, that I feel like you and I are in agreement is actually I think they should have done more ghosts and less equipment, because I felt like they put so much focus on Ecto 1 and so much focus on the photon blaster and so much focus on the ghost trap that it took away from how much more ghost we could have actually gotten. Because their homage was more on just the actual equipment and the costumes and the room when they found the basement underneath the barn. Like all the focus is on stuff, and it was not on ghosts. And that's who they're supposed to be focused on, is ghost busting. And there was very little ghost busting in this. Go ahead, Devin.
So on that note, though, I think the reason why they showed so much equipment and like how everything worked is that was a way for McKenna Grace's character Phoebe to develop a relationship with her dead grandfather.
Yes.
And I thought that was really special in that sense.
100%.
You know what I mean?
Because if I could elaborate though, I 100% agree with you on that. And they needed that in order for that character to progress the way that we needed her to get to like, oh, she's now a Ghostbuster. Sort of like, because that's essentially what they were doing, right? They were just like, "Oh, she's
well, I mean,
that's
what it put in, like right at the very end of the movie. That was the whole point. Is she is a Ghostbuster now? Like when you have all three of the four original Ghostbusters, like trying to bring down. I already forgot the antagonist's name already.
Gover.
Gover.
Oh no,
when
Gozer.
Gozer. When they're taking down Gozer and they're having a hard time doing it, and then Phoebe jumps in with the fourth, spacing. But anyway, she jumps in.
Blaster thing.
Yeah, jumps in with the fourth blaster, and then they officially get to the point where they can take down Gozer because
Spirit.
exactly, and the spirit of her grandfather helping her too, just
Yes,
like guiding her along the way. And like, one of the coolest moments when she was like, oh my god, my grandfather's a Ghostbuster and he's just like me, is when she finds his glasses and puts them right up to her glasses, and they're the same glasses and everything. Like, I was like, oh,
I thought that was
There-
too much. I thought that was too much.
I liked it.
didn't.
I got,
didn't.
I
I
liked
got,
it.
I got that that she was her. I knew who her fucking grandfather was the second she popped up on screen. Look at the fucking glasses; they're the exact same frames as Egon in the original. I didn't
mean, we
need the
knew that.
comparison.
And I'm not talking about our
Right.
realization, but
for her.
her realization.
Oh,
that
sure.
she
okay.
like
Okay.
to
You have-
her, like
Yeah.
she never had this person in her life, and that person was the most relatable person in her life or family because she is just like him to a T.
Yeah.
You know what
And
I mean? And that
I-
was her realization right there.
And I feel like that was the thing they did so well with her character, is that they did a pretty good job. I think they could have done better, but they did a pretty good job of really making the point that she was isolated.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And she didn't have anyone who related to her. And then she found her grandfather, but she also found podcast.
Yeah. Podcast.
Logan Kim did really good playing as him. Like
Yeah.
he was a really good I don't know. I guess a part of me feels like another thing that kind of sucked about this a little bit for me was that they when they moved into Act 3, Paul Rudd was just throwaway. Like they didn't
Yeah,
need Paul Rudd
he
anymore,
wasn't
so
there.
they just used him as one of the caveats to like the gatekeeper dogs, and it was like, okay, cool. Like, and then at that point, it was like the focus is obviously more so on the mom between Paul Rudd and the mom. The mom was the main focus because she's mom, and that makes sense.
Mhm.
And because of such, Paul Rudd was just sort of replaced by podcast, and that's fine. That's okay because it fit for the overall like kids movie thing. But I feel like this movie would have gotten like a little bit more like love from me if they would have like had them moving as a unit, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
we got so invested into Phoebe, into her brother, Finn Wolfhard's character, into podcast, into Finn Wolfhard's love interest,
Mhm.
and Paul Rudd and mom. And that was sort of like the squad, right? That was the squad we were going with. And I was hoping that they would commit to like Paul Rudd and mom were gonna kind of act as sort of like the older kids in Goonies. Do you know what I mean? Like the teenage kids in the Goonies, and
Yeah.
and they were going to sort of escort them into learning what is actually going on. But instead, Paul Rudd was sort of just throwaway, and Finn Wolfhard's girlfriend was just sort of throwaway. And
Yeah,
now both of them were sort of pointless in the third act.
Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I did enjoy though that like, as one of the main themes throughout the movie was like daddy issues. I enjoyed that something they maintained consistently throughout the movie was the mom's absence. I don't know if you all noticed that, but like as a
Yes.
single parent, like that's a reality. Like her kids are out like destroying the town and she's on a date.
To be fair, she didn't know her kids were going to destroy the town, I'm sure.
Yeah, that's like the last, especially in that way. That's like the last thing you would ever.
My favorite part too is like she's on the date and she's like, I just wish Phoebe would get into some trouble, and her daughter's literally like blasting through the town, destroying public property.
It was pretty
Can
funny.
we talk
It was pretty
about
funny.
Phoebe pulling the blaster on a cop?
Yo, bro, she was. I honestly like. I kind of didn't. That kind of took away some points for me too, because I felt like that was so out of character, like so unnecessary for her to do that. Like it didn't have any point in the story, because like we didn't get that cop again at all for the rest of the movie.
No,
There was
we
no
didn't.
point in
And
her
The
doing
whole
that.
thing was unnecessary. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
I-
that also was like what you were saying when you were saying like white kids doing white kid shit. That's what I thought of when you said that.
100%.
I was just about to say, you got to remember, she's 12 years old, going into her teens, angsty as fuck,
A
like
little white girl.
Sure.
pissed off, at her mom because she never knew who her grandfather was and how much like her grandfather was. And then she also hearing people say that her grandfather is crazy and stupid
Yeah.
and all this other stuff. And she's just full of rage at this
I
point.
just think for the
Also,
development of the story, it was just
Mm.
unnecessary. I would have much preferred her just started freaking out and yelling at everybody.
Yeah.
But rather than pointing a
That's-
weapon that she knows could kill someone at a cop. Like that's
So-
when I was
Uh,
like
something there
"Ugh."
though,
You know,
something there though is they were really leaning into her character being. I read it as someone who thinks a lot about the autism spectrum. It seemed to me like they were like her character is on the autism spectrum. They just didn't use those words, and I think that if you look at it from that perspective, I could very easily. I cannot tell you how many times my little brother has thrown heavy shit at me. I mean, and like I've gotten like fucked up because he'll just like Hulk
You know what?
status.
That's actually fair. I didn't actually think about that. That's a good point.
Yeah.
Because
So
they
that
do
to me
kind of
actually
cue
did
at that.
Yeah, they
Yeah,
did.
Yeah.
They did.
Real quick to refer Mike in the chat. Was Mind Goblin there? No. They essentially completely replaced any and all of the ghosts that were involved in the Ghostbusters with one little ghost and then a major ghost enemy in the movie.
Mind Goblin D's nuts. He would.
I thought
But-
he was
but-
referring to little green guy from the original Ghostbusters, but
Yeah,
I'm
but-
timing you out, Mike. No,
No, he's not. I'll time
it's
you back.
okay. You fucking got
but-
me, bro. You fucking got me, Mike.
Nope, just a long con.
Thank you, Mike. I appreciate you. With that said, though, like I don't know. I think my original point in going into this was just like there's just some things I wish they would have handled a little bit better as far as like committing one way or the other. And if they would have done that, I feel like this movie would have been a 9 for me because it's like
Yeah.
this movie is surprisingly good. It's like for a Ghostbusters property, this movie had no business being as good as it actually is.
Well,
like
in the 2009 video game is kind of viewed as the Ghostbusters 3 because it's the same characters, same voice actors, everything, like to a T, and it's based directly off the Ghostbusters 2 movie as well. So
I mean, there's some stuff there. Like if you think about like timelines and shit like that, like there's questions of whether or not it's a sequel to Ghostbusters 2 or Ghostbusters 1 because like Ghostbusters 2 has some stuff in the timeline that like doesn't quite fit the canon in this. But because if you think about like the scene in the post credits with Annie Potts, I think is her name. The
coin.
young old the coin, the young
Yeah.
old lady.
Yeah. I was gonna get to that actually next.
Yeah.
Like,
Like,
so
well,
I'm
hold on,
pretty
just really quick, and then
Yeah.
I'll get to you. I feel like there's just there's a couple things on that timeline scale that like just don't make sense because of age. Because like Phoebe is supposed to be 10. Is that what it was? Like 10 or 12, something like that.
12.
12. Yeah. She's supposed to be 12 years old, and then she's 12 years old, and her mom is 40, like around the 40 years old age, and that means she had her daughter at X age, and that means that her dad had to be this age. Like, if you look at that stuff and like just look at the timeline,
She's
it
probably in
doesn't
her
quite-
mid 30s. She's probably in her mid 30s.
I mean,
Yeah, and the brother's
I mean
15.
this
she's 40.
this
She's looking good for 40, baby. You know what I'm saying?
yeah, this I mean, you got to think from the events of 1986 that they talk about.
Yeah.
This movie does take place in 2021.
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
we're talking almost a full 40 years.
Well,
you know.
no, for sure. I'm just more so talking
And-
about the canon, the canon
Yeah.
of the overarching story. There's some questions there, but anyways, though,
Yeah.
make your point. Go ahead.
But what I do want to elaborate on real quick, and I'm pretty sure this is all dependent on how the box office actually does go over the course of the next couple weeks. But we had 2 after credit scenes, right?
Yes.
They hinted so hard that we are going to be seeing a return of the Ghostbusters
Yes.
with
We did.
with 3 of the original cast.
Yep.
The
Bill
remaining
Murray,
cast.
Dan Aykroyd, and Ernie Hudson.
Yep.
Yep.
And we may also be getting actually, we're probably going to be getting a lot of the characters that we saw in this movie returning as well.
Honestly, I think that's what's gonna happen. Like
Yeah.
Phoebe's just gonna replace Egon,
So
and
too.
And
yeah.
I think Paul Rudd might turn into a Ghostbuster.
Oh,
as
how
well.
hype would that be? How
Mm.
hype would that
would
be?
be
I
cool.
would
That would
be
cool.
there for that, and I would love for it to be like a bigger team than just the 4
Mhm,
this time.
mhm.
You know, I would
It
love to
should
see that,
be.
and the mom is probably going to get involved too now.
Yeah,
know?
I could totally see
Yeah.
them doing
Yeah.
a thing where if they don't do that, I could see them doing a thing where they're gonna have regional Ghostbusters, where there's
Yeah.
gonna be a team
Mm.
here and a team there,
Yeah,
and then they're going to
and
recruit.
it's going to become a
and-
big thing, and
Yeah.
the whole events that transpired with almost the end of the world and stuff like that, it could have released ghosts that just didn't get trapped there,
Mhm.
that are all over, the earth now. I kind of look at this movie is, especially in the nostalgic way that it was and the way that they did it, it kind of reminds me of the way that Star Wars did The Force Awakens. You know what I
Mm.
mean? Because it almost had a similar plot to the first Ghostbusters movie, even used similar characters for
Mhm.
the end of the movie and everything. And so, like, I look at this as like a spiritual reboot, but also a continuation at the same time. So I wouldn't be surprised if we get 2 more movies.
Mm.
Yeah, I could see it. I can see it, and
Mhm.
I think because of what you're talking about in like in the fun, like the trivia stuff, or the fun
Mhm.
fact stuff, Bill Murray sort of being like on board to retain his character in the Ghostbusters universe, because of how like he's more connected to this story and this writing for this character, is very telling. I think that
Mhm.
because of such, like they're all committed to being like, we are now more than ever willing to remantle these characters, to take up the mantle for these characters again, because the writing of this is actually good. The writing in this movie was actually surprisingly
It's
fucking
very
good,
good.
and
Yep.
that makes me so happy as someone that has. I'm not a diehard Ghostbusters fan in any fucking means whatsoever, but I did watch them a lot when I was a kid and growing up,
Mhm.
and because of such, like this movie just felt good to me as something that was a piece of nostalgia that I would happily see with my daughter, and that
Yep.
makes me just like, so both of us can have an experience together. And I can tell her, oh
Mhm.
my gosh, I used to watch this when I was a kid. And she's like, oh my God, really? And I'm like, yeah. And then she's like, fuck you. And I'm like, hey, don't say cuss words, because apparently she's doing that. And that is so rad to me, because there's a
Yeah.
lot of remakes / reboots that don't do that well. And
Yeah.
even though like I do think that this movie had space to be better, I do feel like that everything they did do well was extremely well. Like it was, this movie got as many points out of me because they had such good character arcs, they had good relationships, they had good character building, good character introductions. Like having podcast just sticking a mic in Phoebe's face and being like, "Why are you here?" And then and then having that there, the humor was great. Like Genesee said, we were dying this entire fucking movie.
It's
Like
hilarious.
the joke that she did about the polar bear thing was one
Oh
of the
my
funniest,
God, that was
the
so funny.
funniest fucking jokes ever, because in my brain I was like, that is a joke I would have like laughed at when I was also 12 years old. And
Yeah,
like it
Naomi
just
and I make jokes like that on the regular.
it
Like-
hit. It just fucking hit. This movie, it was what Devin was saying earlier. This movie was super down to earth, and that
Yeah.
played in this movie's favor so damn much. With that said, I do want us to kind of get to the end of the show here. Do you guys have any final thoughts on Afterlife? Go ahead, Genesee.
I do. So you kind of said it earlier, but I was so glad because they really did introduce Phoebe as a Ghostbuster, and there was a point where the mom was like, "Look at you, you're a," and I really thought they were gonna say you're a Ghostbuster. I really thought they were gonna use the title, and I was so glad. I was so glad that they didn't. And she was like, "I'm a scientist," and I was like, "Fuck yeah, you are, baby! Yes, like this little girl. I was so happy for her. I'm so excited for all the 10 to 14-year-olds that are going to come out of watching this movie and be like, I'm a scientist. Give me a fucking chemistry set, mom. Even slacking off. Let me live up to my potential. And that was something that I really wish, like what I was saying earlier, it was really hard to get into without spoilers, is that I think that this movie, I agree with you, Ernell, I think that they needed to pick a side. Did you want to tell like a story of like childhood adventure, or did you want to tell a Ghostbusters story? And then orient the other one to that. And I really think they should have committed to it being a child story. I really wanted to see, but I do disagree with you with what you were saying about the technology. I loved how much they leaned into the technology, especially her fixing it, and what Devin, you were saying with like the relationship with the grandfather. I wanted to see her like fully fix his trap. I wanted a moment where they had like, I wanted a kind of more like classic like adventure movie trope, where they like have the first run-in with the villain and they get kicked on their asses and they're all super disheartened. So like it would have been like when they went to the mountain, I wanted to see them get their asses handed to them and be destroyed.
If I could, the only reason I said that I wish they would have had more equipment or less equipment stuff, like backstory to that stuff, or homage, I guess is a better way to put it, is because they did that, it gave us less time with more ghosts. And I would have appreciated, like Devin was saying, I would have appreciated more ghosts in this, because when we did get more ghosts, it was just the main enemy and a bunch of just random little tiny, like quick 5-second scenes in the third act when they showed all the ghosts getting released and creating chaos in the town. And even then, they didn't even commit to showing chaos in the town. They just showed 2 ghosts from the original Ghostbusters movies, and they were just kind of like scaring people, and that was it.
Yeah.
And because of such, like, I felt this movie wasn't as much of it didn't have enough ghost busting in it. Because when it did, it was hype. It was hype when they did. And because they didn't do enough of it, I just felt like there was more exposition about the equipment when there was other things I would have preferred they like touched on.
There was absolutely no villain development.
Yeah.
And I think that's because they were 100% relying on people knowing the original Ghostbusters, knowing the original villains, and just being ready to see them again, which makes me almost wish they would have chosen totally different villains, like totally different ghosts. I would have loved to see like, yes, more ghosts, but also different ghosts. Like not just like in terms of like, I think that they could have kept the same ghost and been okay, but they didn't set it up. Like, I mean, I had that background, like I knew who the ghosts were, but I wasn't committed to them. You have like children who are just like jumping in. I mean, not just like an audience, but like these characters need more relationship with the ghost. You know what I mean? Like there was no real relationship as to like why they were fighting these ghosts, other than like, let's Scooby-Doo the shit.
That's fair.
Know?
Devin, I want to roll over to you because I do want us to come to an end. Devin, go ahead. Well, you were going to say something for a second.
I could totally, especially this day and age with the way that movies and TV have like cross intertwined, I could totally see them possibly doing a series after this on a streaming platform like Paramount Plus or HBO Max. Especially I've been thinking about it a little bit more. I could see Bill Murray's character, Dan Aykroyd's character, taking more of a step back, but still involved in the Ghostbusters, but being more of a mentor, like a mentor role, and teaching them how to be Ghostbusters and be the new generation.
I feel like I would prefer us to get continue a movie trilogy with Phoebe and those characters that we got in this, but then getting a series from the originals. And I think that would probably be like kind of, I guess, porque no las dos, you know, like I kind of want both. Like why, like give us both. I think that'd be rad. That'd be rad.
And that's what I mean with those characters though, like them mentoring those characters to be the new generation of Ghostbusters.
I think that,
and the only reason why I see that is because I feel like we could get more development, see more ghosts and stuff like that out of the series versus the movies.
My final thought I want to give is Olivia Wilde playing as Gozer. Actually, she fucking nailed it, because she was doing little gestures and little like mannerisms and body language that was almost identical to the Gozer in the first movie. Identical. There's a scene where she like pets her dog like underneath the chin, and the way she did it was exactly the way the original Gozer did, and she just imbued that character in such a way that was just like so well done, especially considering, yeah, you're right, they didn't really have any build up to that, and they sort of committed to just like, this is another fan servicing thing. And if you didn't see the first one, well, you're unfortunately not going to really have a lot of backstory about this one. Besides the exposition that they had in the fucking restaurant, that was it. Where Phoebe, it goes in-depth explanation of who Gozer is, and that's the only setup that they have. And I hate when characters get set up through exposition. I hate that so fucking much. There's two things I hate in movies. One, character introductions with exposition, and two, when news channels explain things that are happening. I hate when those things happen in movies. I fucking hate it so much. Very last thought. One of the things that I don't know if I disagreed on you because you didn't really elaborate a whole bunch, Genesee. I thought the cinematography in this was fucking beautiful.
Yeah, I think it was what I meant is not that the cinematography in this was bad, but like if you're going for a cinematographic, that word's escaping me,
Yeah, sure.
experience, this isn't like what you're going for. Like it's not Dune. It's not Dune.
Sure,
you know?
sure. It
But
wasn't an art piece the way Dune was. Yes.
I think overall, this movie knew what it was doing. It understood its assignment. And for that, it did very well with the cinematography, the graphics, costuming. Everything was excellent for what it was trying to do.
Yes,
You
sure.
know what I mean?
Sure. And yeah, no, there were some scenes in this that were extremely beautiful. And I appreciated them doing that. I really did. Because there were some hype scenes, guys. There were some hype scenes. The entire scene with Muncher, for that 20 minutes we got, that was my favorite part of this entire movie. The Muncher chase down was so good, dude. Like I was next to Devin, like, let's go, let's go.
It was that would have to be my favorite part too, especially like how they were figuring everything out as well. And like, you know, like we talked about, there's the down to earth moments in the movie. And it felt very down to earth, especially like down to the sound design.
Oh, the sound
of that
was
chase, and like they made it seem like, you notice how there was like no music during that scene at all. It was just car chase, like 100% action movie car chase.
So good. But the reason I bring that up though is because my point in being like taking off points for this movie for me was, I'm a little bummed out that was more hype for me than getting the original Ghostbusters in the last part of this movie. Because that should have been the most hype thing that we have ever experienced. But because they handled it in a way that was like, bad thing happening, and then it's just scene cut and it's them hiding behind a car.
Hey, flat top.
Like, and that was it. I was like, I wanted them to be like, oh, bad things are happening. Then we get a blast out of nowhere, and Gozer's like, oh, and then looks over, and then we get some dope fucking like sound scene. Like you see boots stepping into the grass, and then the camera slowly moves up, and it's like the Ghostbusters theme song, and then it slowly goes to the gun, the blasters, and then boom, it shows their face, and then he says, hey, flat top. That would have been the most hype shit ever, and we did not get that, and because of such, Muncher's chase scene was the most hype part of this movie, and that bummed me out really, really hard. With that said, we do got to come to an end, guys. We'll discuss the rest of this off stream. We're not going to do post show because we are like real late on fucking time. Go ahead, Devin. Were you going to say something?
I was just going to say, I appreciate everybody for being here with us today. And definitely, when you get the chance, watch Ghostbusters Afterlife. It's not an immediate watch, in my opinion, but it is a fun movie. And you should watch it. Whether you watch it now, whether you watch it on streaming platform, whether you rent it or buy it. Yeah. It's definitely worth watching.
It's worth watching for damn sure. Guys, our schedule for next week, Tuesday, we're looking at another good Kraken podcast. We're going to be discussing in our headlining segment what DC needs to do for a good comeback. On Wednesday, Devin is going to do another Battlefield 2042 stream. We will continue our charity stream for the Bale Project that day alongside with that. So please come in, please donate, please support a wonderful, wonderful charity that's doing awesome things. Thursday and Friday, we are not doing any good Kraken content. That is Thanksgiving. 2 days we're going to be off and hanging out with our family, relaxing. If you want to play Halo, We'll be playing Halo on Friday though. We just won't be
Oh,
streaming
we'll
it.
probably be playing Halo on
oh,
Thursday
well,
and Friday.
I don't know about Thursday. I have a lot of family I got to eat with, but Saturday.
I mean, I don't work on Friday, so I will be playing late at night on Thursday.
Okay, all right, fair enough. I'll let you know. On Saturday we will be here, the Good Kraken podcast with me, with Genesee, and maybe Xander. Devin's got some superhero shit he has to do for that day. There's actually it's crazy, right? It's wild because that we recently got signs that the tomato alien race is actually coming down to finally battle against the squirrel alien race on Earth territory, on Terran territory, and Devin has to defend the squirrel alien race. Just turn the cheek. They attacked him a couple weeks back. But
as Squirrel Girl, I take offense to that.
No, you don't.
That Devin would be.
No, you don't. The squirrels attacked him first. So that Saturday, it's gonna be us reviewing Hawkeye episode 1 and 2, which are dropping on Thanksgiving Day or day before Thanksgiving.
The day before Thanksgiving.
Day before
Dropping
Thanksgiving,
Wednesday.
yeah. So we will be
Dropping
on there talking about that. Devin will do us a write up for his review on Hawkeye, though. So we will have that there for you guys. In the meantime, guys, please, if you have seen Ghostbusters, let us know in the comments below how you thought of Ghostbusters Afterlife, and tweet at us, give us messages, all that good stuff. If you have any questions further on how our thoughts were on the movie, let us know. We will happily give you some more thoughts on it. In the meantime, guys, this has been the Good Kraken podcast, your choice for all the nerdy video game and pop media news, reviews, and discussions that you want to hear live every Tuesday at 7 p.m. and Saturday at 12 p.m. right here at twitch.tv/Good Kraken Show. If you enjoyed the show, you can head on over to patreon.com/Good Kraken Show, where you can submit questions and topics to the show. You can get exclusive post-show content, and you can have early access to episodes before they go live on podcasts and video services across the 7 seas. Give me yarg. Yarg. You can also support us by going to our YouTube channel by clicking that beautiful bell and big red button, or by subscribing to our podcast channel by searching Good Kraken with an exclamation mark and leaving a review there. We're not recording a post-show, but until next time, my friends, be good to each other. Bye.
Bye.